Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Raising Bulls, brought to you by the Beautiful Game Network and Roughneck Scarves. We are the only podcast dedicated to the New York Red Bulls, too. Tonight, we're going to look at some preseason results in Tucson, which were technically the Red Bulls' first team, but everybody knows it was really New York Red Bulls, too. We're going to churn through that roster, see who we think is going to be making the team, making the squad this year, and kind of get some analysis on those guys. We're going to preview, maybe preview is the wrong word, but we're going to look at the Eastern Conference and kind of take our best guess of where everyone's going to finish. Tonight, joining me, as always, we've got, I shouldn't say as always, because he's been so spotty of late, but it's Mr. Bill Toomey. Hello, Bill.
Hey, Joe. How you doing?
I'm doing very well. How are you?
I'm doing good. It's good to be back for, I think you said before, Season 4. Hard to believe.
Season 4.
Fourth season of Raising Bulls.
Episode 98, Season 4. It's unreal. I can't believe how long this has been on. Have you thawed out from last night, Bill?
I did. My hands were still frozen as I was driving home. But it was a little cold last night, and I hear Tuesday for the next game is supposed to be even colder. So we'll be freezing again on Tuesday night at Red Bull.
Hooray! I have a quick funny story before I introduce the next guy up.
Take your time.
Oh, there he is.
Liam Pettit was sitting next to me in the press box. We both got the hand warmers from Gordon Stevenson. Thank you, Gordon, for keeping our hands warm. At halftime, we come back out, and I take out my hand warmer and I'm holding it, and Liam says, "Oh, you still have yours?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "I threw mine away." I said, "Why?" I was like, "They're good for 16 hours, Liam." He was like, "Oh, I thought that they just worked for a minute."
No, those are good for hours.
Mine was still
like
warm
a stick
this
of
morning.
gum.
So I had a good laugh at him. And, of course, now, spoiler alert, it is Anthony Merced. Hello, Anthony.
Oh, how's it going for you guys? I was not there torturing myself during a game that didn't matter.
Everyone knows your disdain for the CONCACAF Champions League.
I had a nice
between
time.
that and the national games, they're not your thing.
Yeah.
No, they're not. Well, the men's games. I have a very different perception of the women's game.
Okay. All right. Well, nonetheless.
She Believes Cup, by the way, if you're not watching that, you should all prepare for the game on Saturday, I think it is. I think the next She Believes Cup game is happening on Saturday.
Who won last night?
Cup.
USA drew 2-2.
England played yesterday too, right? Or was that the day before?
Yeah, I don't know the England result, but I know USA and Japan were 2-2.
I can quickly get the England result. I'm going to make this happen. Anthony, how are you since last week? What's new? What's new in the world of Merced?
Everything is new in the world of Merced. I'm doing podcasts about Mexican wrestling. I'm covering NYCFC. I'm now a fan of the LA Galaxy, quote unquote fan of the LA Galaxy, just because I need a team that I don't cover to watch, and they need to be an absolute mess for me to cover them or for me to watch them, because I don't want a boring team to watch.
That's fair. That's why you love the Lights as well, right?
Yeah, Vegas Lights are amazing. Dude, and they got even better now that Eric Winaldo's going to manage them.
Yeah, look, I'm all for villains in soccer. I think it makes things kind of fun, and he's been so villainy since he was appointed.
The best about Eric Winaldo was he posted I don't know if it was a tweet or Instagram, but he made a comment saying that MLS did not acknowledge that the Lights beat Toronto by 5 goals, and they responded him going like, "Well, the team didn't submit this, so whatever, man." And I'm just like, Eric Winaldo, it's preseason, dude. Like, who cares?
Chill out. And it's Toronto, who are apparently garbage.
Watch them win MLS Cup. That's how it goes.
They absolutely could, because you got Ali Curtis in the mix, and they're still building that roster. They're not done.
I wonder if he has a 300-page plan too.
I'm sure that he does, and maybe he'll be able to execute all 300 pages this time around. Just a quick update: England defeated Brazil 2-1 in the She Believes Cup. Way to go, England! That's a pretty big result.
England is a very strong team in the women's division coming into the World Cup. So they may end up being a dark horse favorite for the World Cup in France.
Oh, that would be very, very interesting to watch. We will keep you abreast of that as it develops. But right now, we're going to get into the Red Bulls too. We got 2 matches and a good look, I think, of the squad as a whole out in Tucson for the Mobil Mini Cup. They defeated Phoenix Rising 5-2. Goals from Barlow, Stroud, D'Souza, who I'd like to talk about in a little bit. Velo, great to see him back out there, and another trialist, Elney. And then lost 2-1 in essentially the final of the Mobil Mini Cup to FC Dallas. And the lone goal in that game was scored by Chris Lima. A look at the current roster. Obviously, we're not including Evan Loro in this since he wasn't with the team last week, but I expect him to be with the team for the season. Nuhu, Montali, and Goodman in goal. Edgardo Rito, Alan Yanis, Reese Buckmaster, Jonas Loeb, Marcel Barry, Jared Gillot, Jonathan De Silva, Preston Kilwian, I think that's the right way to say that. Sean Nealis, who also may not be spending much time with RB2 if he keeps progressing the way he has. Roy Boyotang and Chris Tiao on defense. Midfield, Chris Lima, Jean-Christophe Kofi, Florian Velo, and Vincent Bezecourt, who, again, don't expect them to be with the team. Sal Esposito, he's an academy player. Jared Stroud, Kyle Zajic, who was just trialist with the team, Ben Mines, and Tamar Lewis, who was also a trialist. And then at forward, Amarillo de Souza, I think is the right way to say that, Sebastian Elney, and Tom Barlow. Whew. So between those guys, I should have probably called out who was what, but mostly trialists, academy players, and guys from Red Bull Brazil kind of rounding out the roster of draft picks that were sort of known quantities. Just want to get your ideas on some of these guys, moving forward. Anthony, who on the roster were you most impressed with during these 2 matches?
I think that a lot of the heavy lifting was done by guys that may end up being on the Red Bull bench.
Okay.
For the game. It was hard to tell because especially that Phoenix game, a lot of that Phoenix team is going to be the FC Tucson team, which is the lower team. So it was hard, the League One team for Phoenix Rising. So it was really hard to gauge anybody. This is kind of like watching a spring training baseball game where you're looking at the individual players, but you really can't take much out of it aside from the individual performance. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, guys look good in general, but it all depends on who's actually going to be on this team, which is the hard part to come to grips with. There were years prior where we could tell better, but this year it's kind of up in the air. Yeah,
I would say it's kind of wide open. But out of the guys that you saw, who was somebody that stood out for you?
Oh God, I'm gonna butcher this because the commentary was so bad that I sometimes didn't know who was on the field, especially when it came to substitutes. I did like Tom Barlow.
Okay.
When he did play, I'm gonna lean on that for now because I think the rest of it was a bit of a mess and I couldn't really tell what was happening with the feed.
Well, so the feed wasn't great. There's no real official list of who played in either match.
There's no highlights.
And no names on jerseys.
Right. So
come on.
I forgive you some. For me, actually, wait, Bill, to you, who was somebody that stood out in those matches?
I just like seeing Jared Stroud and Tom Barlow get goals again because they were really starting to heat up at the last of last year's season. So, I just like to see them on the board again. And Jared Stroud, I would like to see more of too.
And what was interesting, I thought, with Stroud is they kind of played him as a more central attacking midfielder, which obviously last season he was playing out on the wing. And he looked great. In the Phoenix match in the first half, a lot of those guys don't play together very often. This might have been their first competitive minutes together as a unit, or absolutely was. And it was really, really messy. Like Tamar Lewis, I thought looked lost a lot of the time out there. But
so did Kofi.
Yeah, I fully agree with that.
Yeah, he was all over. And I don't think that that's a reflection of his ability. I think it's a reflection of the fact that he just didn't know who was to his left or his right.
Yeah, that absolutely could be, because I thought he looked a little bit better against Dallas. Against Phoenix, I was not impressed. But having said that, in the first half of the Phoenix match, Amaridio de Souza, the forward from Red Bull Brazil, I thought he looked really good. It brought a lot of energy. He pressed as we expect these guys to press, and was willing to just kind of, get whatever part of his body he could possibly get on the ball in the box to try to direct it towards net. And that's essentially how he got his goal. But I just really liked what I saw from him, and I hope that that's the kind of guy that they're kind of looking at to bring in and maybe help spell Tom Barlow at times, or maybe someone that can rise a little bit faster than that.
Is he still technically on trial then?
Yes, I would say that he is on trial. Other guys that I thought looked okay out there, Sebastian Elney, we mentioned, he got a nice goal at the end of the match, but he just looked good on the wing. Didn't look out of place at all. Kyle Zajic, he was a little bit clumsy at times. He's from the academy. We had a rumor on RBNN that he might sign this offseason. He definitely was clumsy, but he added bite to the midfield. He didn't shy away from challenges, and I'm always somebody who appreciates that as a former Andrew Tenari and Dan Metzger evangelist.
I think we all are on that train.
Yeah. Pour one out for
Buckmaster did not have a good game. Oh, well, I shouldn't say Buckmaster didn't have a good game. He had one very glaring mistake in the first half against Phoenix.
Yeah. Which was weird because he was playing on the right side, which is his natural position, and I thought he looked a little shaky as opposed to when he played against the Timbers on the left side, and I thought he looked a lot more calm. Against Dallas, he was a little bit more settled in and okay. By the way,
and that has to do with the fact that you just don't know who's to your left or to your right.
Exactly.
You leave a ball off, and you just don't know what's going to happen. This is why I don't like to judge players based on preseason games.
Exactly, and when we talk about his big mistake in the first half, maybe there is some of that there. He had De Silva, right next to him in the central defense, and I thought he was really poor on the day. But again, it's tough to really gauge what these guys are going to bring. And, especially with the defenders in this system, we kind of see them come into their own over time. So I guess we'll see there. The other guy that I liked, Edgardo Rito, he was announced as a signing the week leading up to these games, maybe even the day before the Phoenix game. And he, despite being an older player, I thought he looked real good as that right back who bombed forward and kind of pestered both the offensive and defensive sides of the ball. What did you guys think of Nuhu in net? He played in just those two matches, rather, because Laura was in the other one. But I thought he looked good. You could see a little bit of his inexperience, but I thought he had good instincts.
Yeah, I thought he didn't overreact at times, because obviously he didn't know the back line. So he didn't get rattled, which I think is a really good sign. But, I don't know if he was really tested as a goalkeeper as much. Goalkeepers are weird. They have to be kind of like captains of the ship at times when it comes to the back line. And I don't think we really saw much of that. But he wasn't rattled and was able to deal with the fact that he didn't know who was in front of him pretty well.
Yeah, I agree with that.
It's definitely a good start, too, because even if you remember when we first saw Evan Laurel play, it was a little rocky. So I definitely think he has a lot of potential.
Most definitely. And, obviously Evan is much better suited to the role now, but there was definitely some rocky starts there, especially thinking about the way that he used to consistently parry the ball back into traffic in the box. It was always kind of nerve-wracking.
Just a little bit.
But Evan Laurel has a very old man goalkeeper mentality, which is come out and be a footballer, and which I knew does not have. So it was like when I would see Evan Lowe do that, I'd be like, well, that's a goalkeeper.
Right. Nuhu, just from like his size and stature and his athleticism, reminded me a lot of, oh my gosh, why can't I think of his name now? I just blanked on it. Oh no. Oh, this is going to kill me.
Well, Joe Goldstein failed.
Wow.
Huge foul. This is what happens if you don't
Huge
prepare
brain
before
fart.
a show. Rafi Diaz.
Bill
Jesus.
Gaudette.
He reminded me of Rafi Diaz because I thought he was really athletic. He made some nice saves. Maybe caught out of position a little bit at times, but was athletic enough to still get behind the ball. And
is he still on Sacramento?
I don't think so. I think he moved on. Let me check.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna have to bring back that ex Red Bull 2 report.
Yeah.
That's gonna be on our site on RBNN.
They're all over the place now. Most of them are in Tampa.
Joe Steen is going to be taking that on because, exactly. There's too many to continue to list here. It would take forever. Transfer market. There we go. Rafi Diaz. Where are you at, Rafi? Someone listening to this already knows, and then it's going to be sad for me. But
It's going to be some nerd that goes like, God, how does he not know? And I'm like, well, maybe because we all have
he's still with
jobs.
Sacramento. I thought he left for some reason, but I guess not.
I think that to be fair, since transfer market, no one tracks USL contracts.
Yeah, true.
Majority, 99.9% of them are 1-year contracts. So who knows if he actually is or isn't? He might be, and they might have re-signed him to the exact same deal. But yeah, that's where they are. Hopefully, Sacramento is going to be something this year. There's a lot of rumors about them in MLS, but who knows?
Yeah, it only mentions that he was signed with them for the 2018 season and nothing after that. So I guess we'll find out. Okay, any other thoughts on players? What did you guys think of Tamar Lewis?
Decent, but we need a little more testing.
Yeah, I thought he looked like lost at times. Especially,
Or how about Ben Mines?
Ben Mines, I thought looked good. He came back looking real good, and I've been critical of the way that he's played in the past. He had 2 really nice assists in the Phoenix game.
But will Ben Mines play in that position in the USL season?
Yes. On the wing? Absolutely. August season.
I hope so, but it's like it's going to depend. So the one reason why I say it's going to depend is because the MLS season dictates what happens with this USL team.
Course.
But I think more so than ever, and I don't think anyone's really acknowledged that this is way more NBA style than before. The condensed schedule that we have because of the fact that the playoffs happen so much sooner, and then next year it's going to be even worse. Lots of midweek games, things like that. Like there's going to be a lot more loans for the guys that are actually Red Bull players.
Yeah.
So it's going to be, we're kind of in uncharted territory in that way because we haven't even really factored in what U.S. Open Cup is going to mean to that.
That's true. But when I look at just specifically to Ben Mines, I don't think he's going to get much time with the MLS side. When you look at the 2 acquisitions they made, which were both wing players, I guess Matthias Jorgensen is really a forward, but I think they're going to deploy him on the wing. But you've got Jorgensen, you've got Epps, Etienne, Andy Ivan, Mobil, Omir Fernandez, and Velo. That's 7 wing players. And say whatever you want about Alex Mobil, Ben Mines is not displacing him on the roster. And I can't think of any of those guys that he's going to be able to displace.
If the season starts on Saturday in Columbus and then they have to play on Tuesday night, you might see a lot of players getting a chance then too
but that's 7 wingers. You could have 4 or 2 groups of 4 with almost no overlap on those spots.
But how many of those guys do you trust against Santos Laguna?
I think the only one that I wouldn't trust necessarily as a starter would be Omir because he's so inexperienced. But every other, one of those other guys is fine.
You don't watch enough Santos Laguna.
I think Santos is super talented going forward. I am not worried necessarily about the wingers. I'll say, okay. I think that's fine.
Fair. That's fair.
I'm more worried about the defense, especially because of what happened with Amir Murillo and picking up another yellow card and being suspended for the next match. But that's a different podcast.
That's seeing red every. Wait, is it Thursday or Wednesday?
Oh, it rotates now because of Champions League.
Gotcha. Whenever I think we're recording seeing red.
I think we're recording Monday next week. Spoiler alert for those of you who don't know that yet. Okay, the other thing I wanted to do tonight, again, this is going to be a short show as we're still easing into the season. I wanted to look at the Eastern Conference and kind of get, an idea of where you think these guys are going to finish. Anthony, I'm going to start with you. I'm just going to run down a list of teams in the Eastern Conference in no particular order. Actually, that's a lie. This is in the order that Ben Wright, I think it was Ben Wright, ranked where he thinks they're going to finish. I do not agree with his ranking. Okay. I'm going to start at that. Indy 11, Nashville SC. Wait, no, I'm just going to go down the list.
Oh, okay.
Louisville City, Swope Park Rangers, St. Louis FC, Tampa Bay Rowdies, New York Red Bulls 2, Birmingham Legion FC, Pittsburgh Riverhounds, Charleston Battery, North Carolina FC, Memphis 901 FC, Charlotte Independence, Ottawa Fury FC, Bethlehem Steel FC, Atlanta United 2, Hartford Athletic, and Loudoun United FC. 18 teams in the Eastern Conference. That is a lot of teams. Anthony, looking at that list, give me a top 5. Who's going to finish on the top of that group?
Does it have to be 1 to 5 in that order, or just top 5 in general?
Ideally, it would be 1 to 5 in that order, but if you don't feel comfortable making that prediction, I'm okay with it.
Nope. I think I can do that. Okay, so I think because they haven't lost all that much, I think Louisville's still going to be number 1. It's going to be number 1 now that Cincinnati's gone. I say number 2 will be North Carolina FC. Number 3, Pittsburgh Riverhounds, because I love all things Bob Lilly. 4, Tampa Bay Rowdies, because they have stacked incredible talent. And 5, oh boy, this is the one that's tough. I'm going to go New York Red Bulls 2.
Okay. I think that's pretty fair. I'm not necessarily on board with that, but we'll get to that in a little bit. Bill, give me a top 5. All right.
Top 5. So number 1, I have Pittsburgh because of Bob Lilly. And he's just, I got to believe in Bob. He's something special over there. I think New York Red Bulls are going to be in second place. I think they're almost going to get back to first, but I'm going to put them in second. Third, I have Swope Park. Fourth is Tampa. And 5 is St. Louis.
I think Swope Park will do well. I don't think they're going to finish in the top 5. That's just me. I think they had an easier time in the Western Conference, and they even struggled there. For me, I'm going Nashville, number 1. I think the way that they retooled that offense this offseason is super duper impressive. And I expect a lot of firepower and them to roll a lot of those sort of newcomers or teams that aren't as strong like Ottawa. Then Louisville, who is just fantastic year over year. I can't imagine they're going to drop too much. Even losing Cameron Lancaster, I still expect them to do really well. I got Red Bull 2 in third place because I'm very impressed with what I've seen so far, but it's really going to depend on how that defense holds up. Indy, who's going to very much underachieve for what I think the expectations are for that club. And then Pittsburgh at number 5 because Bob Lilly, you're right. He's fantastic. He's going to get the job done. And he's gonna make the playoffs. That's just the way it is.
Bob's the man.
He really is.
Here's a random question. Where's Rochester? I thought they were just off for last season.
No, they're off this season. They come back to League One next year.
Right. I was just gonna say that. League One. We're not going to see them again, Bill.
Unless, I know, it's kind of crazy. That was like always the big rival. It was Rochester Rhinos.
Until Red Bull 2 drops down to...
that's what I was going to say, but I don't think that's happening. So
I think it is.
I don't think it is. We'll see.
I do. We'll see.
Hey, the season hasn't even started yet, and they're already getting demoted.
Relegation.
That would be amazing if they win the championship and then somehow were sent to League One. That would be the first team to win a league and be relegated.
It would not be the first team
to win a league and then get relegated.
I believe that Celtic, the year that not Celtic,
no,
Rangers,
they won that year.
I think they did.
And then the other one I thought of was Juventus, because I'm pretty sure they won the year that they were penalized and sent down to League Two.
It's like, I guess we should clarify it as the first year that someone didn't cheat and got relegated.
Right. Although if you talk to FC Cincinnati fans, the Red Bulls cheat by only loaning MLS players to the team when they play FC Cincinnati.
Oh, because there's that great game in 2015 where Thierry Henry played for Red Bull 2.
Yeah, exactly. That's really it, guys. We don't have that much more.
That's it?
Yeah. Well, this is in and out kind of episode. You can follow us on Twitter. I'm @_Joe Goldstein.
And I am @NYC Sports World.
And I'm @BillTNJ.
I miss that Bill TNJ. It's so nice to have it back. And if you'd like to follow the show, and we hope you do, we are @Raising Bull Cast. That's one bull, Raising Bull Cast. That's on Twitter. And all of us do work at the Red Bulls News Network. Who named that? I can't say it. It's terrible. RBNN, RB News Network on Twitter.
The worst.
And of course, you can follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/raisingbulls. You can go to raisingbulls.com where we post all of our episodes. You can find us on iTunes, Stitcher, the Google Podcast app, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. We're there. And if we're not, let us know, and we'll make sure that we end up there. #Merced We are on the Beautiful Game Network at bgn.fm. They've got a ton of great shows, and they're always getting more. I'm going to go there right now, because I'm sure that my list is out of date, and I want to make sure I got the most up-to-date information. Wouldn't it be great if it was
because
down?
There are 80 more teams that just entered the USL.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's true.
There's so many podcasts. It's ridiculous.
Also, shout out to Manhattan SC or FC or whatever they are that are going to start playing at Randall's Island in USL League 2.
Whoop, whoop. Rising is one. Sock takes. Orange and black. Holding the High Line, LWSC, which is from Last Word Soccer Club, our old stomping grounds, and so much more. They've got a ton of great podcasts, a lot of written content. They've got Premier League podcasts now. Seriously, it's happening. And, coverage of every team under the sun for USL. Get there, listen to the podcast, read the stuff. It's all very, very good. And of course,
you could say, we're sorry for staying in the game.
We're sorry for staying in the game? Why?
It's a Maurizio Sarri joke.
Oh, boy. I missed that. Anthony, I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to substitute,
Oh, except I'm not coming out.
No, you're coming out.
I'm not going.
Kepa is Merced. That's the new hashtag. And last but not least, we want to thank our sponsor, Roughneck Scarves, the official scarf supplier of MLS, USL, and US Soccer. Get your custom scarves for your group or team at roughneckscarves.com. And just like that, we are done. Episode 98 in the books. For myself, Bill Toomey, Anthony Merced, thank you very much and have a great night.